Hey guys, something different today. Today I'm going to talk about five fragrances, but five fragrances I've never tried. Okay, so obviously a lot of us who are into fragrance and perfume have at the least five fragrances that they have never tried. But I'm going to be talking about five very popular, well, at least in the fragrance community, very popular perfumes that I have never tried. And some of these are pretty, I guess, legendary, mostly marketed to men. And almost, they seem to me almost things that should be like a rite of passage for any guy getting into fragrance and watching YouTube videos and reading Fragrantica forums and all of that kind of thing. Somehow these fragrances kind of skipped by me. I got interested in other things and I just have never gotten around to trying. And when I say try them, I may have picked them up at the store and sniffed the atomizer, but I've never actually worn them in any significant way, like to test. Not even not even the spray on the wrist and letting it develop. So I really am not familiar with how these all smell, apart from the first one I'm going to talk about, because the first very popular fragrance that I have never worn is Thierry Mugler's A Men, the original. So I have Pure Malt and I have Ultra Zest and I have worn Pure Havane. So I kind of have an idea what these are flankers from. So, if I had to try and imagine what A Men smells like, I have a vague idea based on the notes that are part of the DNA of all three of those flankers. But yeah, I've just never gotten around to seeing what the original is all about. Although when I first smelt the women's version, Angel, which came out before, was one of the first women's fragrances that really got my attention. The next one in the niche world is kind of popular. I guess when I think of popular, it is highly regarded by fragrance aficionados, especially in this house. Creed, everyone tends to talk about Aventus and Green Irish Tweed, to a lesser extent things like Silver Mountain Water. But this one seems to get universal love by a lot of guys, and that's Royal Oud. All I know about this is that it gets described as very classy, has very little to no oud in it. Apparently it's a bit of a spicy cedar bomb, but it's another one that I've failed to test and wear. And the purpose of me doing this video at this, I will add at this juncture, is that if you think that I should, for reference purposes, or even for if you want my review on them, if you think I should do wear any of these, let me know in the comments. So that's Royal Oud from Creed. The next one, I might skip the one I had on my list here till last. The next one is another niche. It's from Maison Kurkdjian. This is a very, very popular one, particularly in the genre of ambers. And given that I'm such a big fan of the amber fragrance, the Amber Accord, it surprises me that I haven't given this a good test. But this is Grand Soir. And I think maybe because I have Absolute pour le Soir, which I also regard as an amber, albeit a very different build of amber, given that it opens very skankily with the honey and the cumin. but it does dry down into a gorgeous amber base. I just have not felt a need to really test drive Grand Soir, and I have other ambers like Ombre Sultan and Ombre Roussé and Ombre Loup that kind of really fill my need, I guess, for the amber. So Grand Soir, do you think I should give it a go, and will I find anything different in it? The last two are very, very popular designer fragrances that have been around for quite some time. This one is almost like a rite of passage for a lot of guys getting into fragrances, but it is dogged by people, especially with current formulations, saying that it is very weak in the performance. This is Dolce and Gabbana The One. Interesting fact, I've never really worn any Dolce and Gabbana. That's one house that I don't own or have really explored a lot. The One. Now, should I try that? Is there stuff that's kind of better version of The One out there? Or is it not being duplicated? I don't know. This is why I'm actually looking for your input and advice on this. So do I bother with it or not? Should I go and try the Eau de Parfum version? I don't know. Finally, and I might be lynched for this, but from Yves Saint Laurent, I've never really worn La Nuit de l'Homme. And should I be arrested? Should I try it? Should I buy into the hype? Well, of course, I have to like it first. And again, this is another one that gets talked about in terms of reformulations not being quite what the original was, but I don't know, does it still smell the same at least? Let me know. I want to know whether I should try these fragrances, and I also want to know about popular fragrances you have all avoided for whatever reason. So I hope you enjoyed this little video, and I'll see you next time.